section, I'll first talk about the onset of schizophrenia, and then a little bit about the course of the disorder. Symptoms of schizophrenia usually first appear during young adulthood, generally late teens to mid-20s for men and late 20s to early 30s for women. The onset of symptoms may be abrupt or gradual, but most people experience some early signs prior to the beginning of active symptoms like delusions and hallucinations. These early signs may include depression, social withdrawal, loss of interest, unusual behaviors, or a decrease in functioning, such as in work, school, or social relationships. These are often the first behaviors to worry family members and friends. Generally, early onset of symptoms, younger than age 25 in most studies, is associated with a worse course of illness. Early onset contributes to more difficulty reaching adult milestones, such as finishing school, finding work, and maintaining long-term social relationships. Early recognition of symptoms and early treatment is important. Early treatment leads to better long-term outcomes for people experiencing their first psychotic episode. The longer one goes without treatment, the more difficult it is to treat symptoms and to achieve positive long-term outcomes. I want to talk about the course of schizophrenia next, but before I start, I thought it would be useful to define a few words you're likely to see and hear frequently. The words remission, exacerbation, and relapse are regularly used in education materials and by mental health professionals, so I want to be sure you know what they mean. Let's start with remission. Remission means the absence of symptoms. This doesn't mean the illness has gone away or has been cured. The illness is still present, but it's under control. Next, we have exacerbation. An exacerbation means that symptoms are starting to increase in severity or frequency, but they are not yet so severe or frequent that they would be considered a relapse. A relapse is a full return of symptoms following a period of improvement. A relapse may require hospitalization. Now that we've defined those terms, let's get back to discussing the course. The course of schizophrenia over time varies considerably from person to person. Most people experience periods of symptom exacerbation and remission, again meaning that they have times when their symptoms worsen and times when they have milder symptoms, or may even be symptom-free. Others are more chronically ill and may continue having a steady level of moderate to severe symptoms and disability over time. And finally, a small number of people have a milder course of the illness where they remain in remission and don't experience problematic symptoms. The positive symptoms of schizophrenia increase during a relapse, while negative symptoms and cognitive impairments tend to be more persistent and are generally present all the time. Unfortunately, it's not possible for us to predict a person's outcome when they get diagnosed with schizophrenia, because there's great variability from person to person. However, research has shown that about 1/2 to 2/3 of people with the disorder significantly improve with treatment, with a small number of them recovering completely. About 1/3 of people are significantly affected by the disorder and experience frequent hospitalization. And about 10% of these people experience long-term hospitalization. That wraps up our discussion of the onset and course of schizophrenia. Join me next time for a discussion of evidence-based treatments for the disorder.